Hey guys, welcome back to the Readers. I hope you are having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is a pro-revenge story. This just happened. I finished my fall semester finals at university and witnessed karma in action. It started in my data structures class back in September 2024. Projects 3 and 4 were group assignments. We were paired with random classmates, and I got stuck with Alex. Alex and I met up at the campus coffee shop to discuss the project. "How do you want to handle this?" I asked. We agreed that working remotely would be best since we both had packed schedules. "We can use Discord to stay in touch," Alex suggested, and I nodded. A week before the deadline, Alex had contributed exactly nothing. I'd been checking our shared repository daily, hoping to see some progress. Finally, I messaged him. "Hey, any progress on your part?" "Sorry, man, been swamped with other classes," came his reply 3 hours later. I sighed and dove into the project myself. After 3 intense days of coding, I had 90% of it done. I messaged Alex. "There's still 10% left. Can you handle the input validation part?" "Yeah, definitely. Thanks for understanding. My schedule's been crazy," he responded. He actually did the remaining work, but it was full of bugs. I ended up fixing everything myself before submission, thinking I was done dealing with him. I was wrong. The following week, we had an exam with 2 parts, in-class and online coding. The online portion was released 3 days before and due by midnight on exam day. At 7 p.m. on exam day, my phone buzzed. "Hey, can you send me your online portion?" Alex texted. I stared at my phone in disbelief. When I didn't respond, he kept going, "Come on, help me out here, I'm stuck." "That's cheating. I'm not sharing my exam," I replied firmly. Then came Project 4, which built upon Project 3 with the same partners. This one was significantly more complex, requiring advanced algorithms and data structures. Having learned from the previous experience, I formulated a plan. I did minimal work until the final week, just enough to show activity. Through our collaborative IDE, I could see Alex's cursor appearing periodically, checking my progress but never contributing. The day before submission, right on cue, he messaged, "I'm really sorry, dude, got caught up with my operating systems project. Anything left for me to do?" Looking at the half-finished project, I replied, "Nope, all good here." I immediately emailed our professor, Professor Chen, explaining the situation with timestamps of Alex's contributions, or lack thereof. Then, I pulled an all-nighter to complete the project properly. Professor Chen's response came quickly. "Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I've reviewed both submissions, and Alex's incomplete version clearly demonstrates his lack of contribution. His grade will reflect his individual effort, or rather the absence of it." Today my phone lit up with another message from Alex. "What did you get on the project?" "I got an A," I replied, allowing myself a small smile. Sometimes justice comes with a grade attached. The next one is an entitled People's Story. Let me tell you about how an overzealous homeowners association tried to stop my construction project and ended up with egg on their face. This all started about 8 months ago when I purchased a beautiful 2-acre lot in a developing area just outside of town. The lot was perfect. Great views of the mountains, plenty of space for the house I wanted to build, and best of all, no homeowners association restrictions. I did my due diligence before buying, had my realtor and lawyer check all the paperwork, verify the property lines, and confirm there were no deed restrictions or homeowners association entanglements. The lot was part of an old farm that had been subdivided years ago, before the fancy homeowners association neighborhood next door was even built. I was all set to build my dream home. I spent months working with an architect to design exactly what I wanted. A modern 3,500 square foot home with lots of windows to take in the views. Got all the necessary permits from the county, hired a reputable builder, and was ready to break ground. That's when the trouble started. It was a Tuesday morning when I got an official-looking letter in the mail from Pine Valley Estates Homeowners Association. I almost threw it away since I knew I wasn't part of their homeowners association, but curiosity got the better of me. Boy, am I glad I opened it. The letter stated that my building plans were in violation of multiple homeowners association covenants and demanded I cease all construction activities immediately. They cited issues with the modern architectural style, claimed the house was too large, and said the placement didn't meet their setback requirements. The letter threatened legal action if I didn't comply within 48 hours. I called my lawyer right away. "Hey, Jim, you might want to take a look at this letter I just got from Pine Valley Homeowners Association. They're trying to stop my build." Jim chuckled when I explained the situation. "But you're not even in their homeowners association. Send me the letter and I'll draft a response telling them to pound sand." The next day, I was at the lot meeting with my builder when a black Mercedes SUV came rolling up my driveway. Out stepped an impeccably dressed woman in her 50s with that "I want to speak to your manager" haircut. She marched right up to us with a stern look on her face. "I'm Barbara Thompson, president of the Pine Valley Homeowners Association Board. I assume you received our letter," she said without even introducing herself properly. "Yes, I did, but there seems to be a misunderstanding. This lot isn't part of your homeowners association," I replied calmly. She gave me a condescending smile. "Oh dear, I'm afraid you're mistaken. All properties in this area fall under our jurisdiction. We cannot allow this modern monstrosity you're planning to build. It will destroy our property values." I pulled out my phone and showed her the property survey and deed. "Actually, Barbara, this lot was subdivided from the old Wilson farm years before Pine Valley was developed. Your homeowners association has no authority here." Her face reddened. "Well, we'll just see about that. Our architectural review committee has already rejected your plans. Construction cannot proceed." "Your architectural committee has no jurisdiction over my property," I stated firmly. "I have all required county permits and will be moving forward as planned." "We'll see you in court then," she snapped before storming back to her Mercedes. My builder watched her drive away and shook his head. "Man, I hate dealing with homeowners associations. Want me to hold off starting until this gets sorted out?" "Nope, we're proceeding as planned. They have no authority here, and my lawyer will handle them." The next week, I got served with a lawsuit. The homeowners association was seeking an emergency injunction to stop construction, claiming my lot was subject to their covenants through some convoluted legal theory about implied restrictions. They also wanted $50,000 in damages for diminution of property values. My lawyer was practically giddy when I forwarded him the lawsuit. "This is perfect. They're going to regret picking this fight. I'll file a motion to dismiss and countersue for abuse of process." We had our first hearing a week later. The homeowners association's lawyer tried arguing that because my lot was surrounded by Pine Valley properties, it should be subject to their restrictions. The judge wasn't buying it. "Counselor, do you have any actual evidence that this property is part of your homeowners association? Any deed restrictions? Any signed agreements?" the judge asked. "Well, Your Honor, we believe the intent was for all properties in this area to be governed by our covenants." The homeowners association lawyer started. The judge cut him off. "Intent is irrelevant. Either the property is legally part of your homeowners association or it isn't. Based on these documents, it clearly isn't." Our motion to dismiss was granted and the judge authorized us to proceed with our countersuit for legal fees and damages, but the homeowners association wasn't done yet. The next day I arrived at the lot to find Barbara and 2 other board members blocking my driveway with their vehicles. My excavation crew was scheduled to start that morning. "You're not building that awful modern house here," Barbara declared. "We're prepared to do whatever it takes to stop this." I called the police non-emergency line. "Yes, I have some trespassers blocking access to my construction site." When the police arrived, Barbara tried telling them I was violating homeowners association rules. The officers quickly checked the property records on their computer and confirmed I wasn't part of Pine Valley Estates. "Ma'am, this is private property and you're trespassing. You need to leave immediately or you'll be arrested," the officer stated firmly. Barbara and her cronies finally moved their cars, but not before warning me, this isn't over. They weren't kidding. Over the next few weeks, they tried everything to interfere with construction, filed bogus noise complaints with the county, called building inspectors claiming code violations, took photos of workers and vehicles claiming they were speeding sent mass emails to Pine Valley residents about the threat to their property values, put up signs along their properties warning about illegal construction. None of it worked. The county confirmed all our permits were valid, inspections passed with flying colors, and their harassment just made them look increasingly unhinged. The final straw came when someone vandalized our construction site one weekend. Security cameras caught Barbara and another board member sneaking onto the property at night and spray painting our concrete forms. The police were very interested in that footage. My lawyer filed an amended countersuit adding criminal trespass, vandalism, and harassment claims. He also reported their behavior to the State Homeowners Association Oversight Board. 2 days later, I got a call from a different homeowners association board member. "Listen, we'd like to resolve this situation amicably. Barbara and Janet have been removed from the board. We're willing to drop everything and pay your legal fees if you'll agree not to pursue criminal charges." I discussed it with my lawyer and we made a counteroffer. Written admission that my property is not part of their homeowners association, payment of all legal fees and construction delays, $75,000. Written apology to be distributed to all Pine Valley residents. Barbara and Janet banned from serving on the Homeowners Association Board agreement to cease all interference with my construction. If they violate the agreement, they pay $10,000 in liquidated damages. They accepted all terms. Barbara and Janet were forced to resign from the board in disgrace. The new board sent a formal apology letter to all residents explaining that they had no authority over my property and had acted inappropriately. Construction proceeded smoothly after that. My modern house is now complete and looks absolutely stunning. The funny thing is, several Pine Valley residents have told me they actually love the design and wish their homeowners association would allow more contemporary architecture. Barbara put her house up for sale shortly after the settlement and moved away. I heard through the grapevine that she was too embarrassed to face her neighbors after the truth came out about her behavior. Janet still lives in Pine Valley but keeps a very low profile now. The whole ordeal ended up being a blessing in disguise. The publicity from our legal battle caught the attention of a local real estate developer. He reached out about potentially buying several other non-homeowners association lots in the area to build more contemporary homes. Turns out there's huge demand for modern architecture that most homeowners associations won't allow. We partnered up and have since built 3 more homes nearby, all outside Pine Valley's jurisdiction. Each one sold for well above market value. The Homeowners Association can't do anything about it, and their repeated attempts to block progress actually created a thriving market for exactly what they were trying to prevent. I've become good friends with several Pine Valley residents who oppose the old board's heavy-handed tactics. They recently elected a whole new board focused on modernizing their restrictions and being more neighborly. The new president even asked for my input on updating their architectural guidelines to allow more contemporary designs. Last month, I hosted a neighborhood BBQ at my house. Many Pine Valley residents attended and everyone commented on how beautiful the house turned out. The new Homeowners Association board president pulled me aside to apologize again for all the trouble. "You know, fighting you was the wake-up call our community needed," he said. "We were stuck in the past with outdated restrictions and power-tripping board members. Your house helped us see that change can be positive." My lawyer still jokes about the case. "In all my years fighting homeowners associations, I've never seen one shoot themselves in the foot quite so spectacularly," he told me recently. They managed to waste tens of thousands in legal fees, lose 2 board members, and create exactly the kind of development they were trying to prevent. The security camera footage of Barbara and Janet vandalizing my property has become somewhat legendary among local real estate attorneys. One lawyer friend says he uses it in seminars as a perfect example of how homeowners association boards can go wrong when they exceed their authority. My builder now specializes in contemporary homes and business is booming. He says potential clients often mention my case when they first contact him. "Your house became like a symbol of standing up to unreasonable homeowners association restrictions," he told me. "People realize they have options besides cookie-cutter designs." Looking back, I'm actually grateful for Barbara's attempted interference. Without her misguided crusade, I might have just built my house and kept to myself. Instead, I've made great friends, started a successful side business in real estate development, and helped bring positive change to the neighborhood. The final irony? Property values in Pine Valley have gone up significantly since we started building contemporary homes nearby. Turns out Barbara was wrong about modern architecture hurting their investments. Several residents have thanked me for helping modernize the area and attract new buyers. I still get Christmas cards from some of the Pine Valley residents who supported me during the legal battle. One elderly couple wrote last year, "Thank you for standing your ground and showing us that progress isn't something to fear. Our community is better because of you." As for me, I couldn't be happier with how everything turned out. I'm sitting in my dream house right now, enjoying the mountain views through my floor-to-ceiling windows that Barbara tried so hard to prevent. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well and letting karma take its course. The new Pine Valley Board invited me to consult on their Architectural Guidelines Revision Committee. I accepted, on the condition that Barbara and Janet can never serve on the board again as long as I'm involved. They readily agreed. Who says you can't fight City Hall, or in this case, an overreaching homeowners association? Update, 2 years later. A lot has happened since my last post about the homeowners association that tried to stop my construction project. I figured it's time to share how everything played out, especially since there have been some interesting developments. Remember Barbara and Janet, the former homeowners association board members who vandalized my property? Well, karma wasn't done with them yet. After my security footage of their late-night spray painting escapade made the rounds among local real estate attorneys, it eventually reached the state real estate board. Turns out Barbara was a licensed real estate agent, and they took a pretty dim view of her actions. The board opened an investigation into her conduct. During their review, they discovered she had been using her position on the Homeowners Association board to steer home sales to herself, which is a major ethical violation. She was required to disclose her role as an Homeowners Association board member to potential clients, but had consistently failed to do so. Last month, the real estate board suspended her license for 2 years and fined her $25,000. She tried to appeal, claiming she was just protecting property values, but the board wasn't buying it. They cited our case specifically in their decision, noting that her actions showed a pattern of unethical behavior and abuse of authority. Janet didn't fare much better. She landed herself in hot water when she tried to start a competing real estate development on some nearby land. She approached several Pine Valley residents about investing in her project, claiming she had inside knowledge about upcoming zoning changes that would make the investment extremely profitable. One of the residents she approached happened to be a securities lawyer. He recognized her pitch as a potential securities violation and reported her to the SEC. Turns out there were no pending zoning changes. She was trying to run a small-time investment scam. She's now facing state and federal investigations. But the really satisfying part? The development project Janet was trying to fund was specifically aimed at blocking those awful modern houses. Her words in an email that was uncovered during the investigation. She was basically trying to buy land just to prevent more contemporary homes from being built. Meanwhile, my partnership with the real estate developer has been incredibly successful. We've now completed 8 modern homes in the area, all selling within weeks of listing. Our latest project is a small community of 12 contemporary homes on a 15-acre parcel we purchased last year. We're calling it Mountain View Modern. Yes, I know it's a bit on the nose, but it works. The new Pine Valley Homeowners Association board has been great to work with. After I helped them update their architectural guidelines, they've approved several contemporary renovation projects within their community. Property values have continued to rise, and they're now using their more progressive design standards as a selling point. I recently had an interesting conversation with Tom, the new Homeowners Association president, about how things have changed. You know, when you first started building your house, some residents were terrified it would destroy our community, he told me. Now they're asking how they can make their homes look more modern. It's amazing how much attitudes have shifted. The Architectural Guidelines Committee I serve on has become a model for other homeowners associations in the area. We've had representatives from several communities visit to learn how we balanced preserving neighborhood character while allowing for contemporary design. I've even been asked to speak at a few local real estate seminars about fighting unreasonable homeowners association restrictions. Remember that elderly couple who supported me during the initial battle? They recently hired my builder to renovate their Pine Valley home with a more contemporary look. The Homeowners Association approved their plans without issue, and the results are stunning. Their house was just featured in a local home design magazine. We never would have had the courage to try something so different if you hadn't shown us how beautiful modern architecture could be, they told me at their renovation reveal party. The legal aftermath of our case had some interesting ripples, too. My lawyer tells me it's now frequently cited in homeowners association disputes about jurisdiction and authority. The judge's ruling about intent versus actual legal authority has helped other homeowners fight back against homeowners associations trying to extend their reach beyond their legal boundaries. The security cameras I installed during construction have stayed up, and for good reason. About 6 months ago, they caught Barbara trying to drive past my house, slowly taking pictures. I had my lawyer send her a friendly reminder about the settlement agreement and its liquidated damages clause. Haven't seen her since. Janet tried to attend a Pine Valley Homeowners Association meeting recently to warn everyone about the modern invasion of the neighborhood. The board chairman simply played the security camera footage of her vandalizing my property and asked her to leave. I heard she was escorted out while muttering about property values. The most vindicating moment came last week. A major real estate website published an article about our area, highlighting how the mix of traditional and contemporary architecture has created one of the most desirable neighborhoods in the region. They specifically mentioned how the failed attempt to block modern design ended up catalyzing positive change in the community. Our Mountain View. Modern development is almost completely sold out, with only 2 lots remaining. We're getting calls daily from people interested in buying in the area, specifically because they want contemporary homes without strict homeowners association restrictions. The irony that Barbara and Janet's actions helped create exactly what they feared most isn't lost on anyone. I've had several Pine Valley residents apologize for not speaking up sooner during the initial conflict. One neighbor recently told me, We all knew Barbara and Janet were out of control, but we were afraid to challenge them. Watching you stand your ground gave us the courage to demand change in our community. The county has even updated their processes for handling homeowners association disputes. They now require homeowners associations to provide proof of jurisdiction before acting on any complaints about properties. The building department specifically cited our case when implementing this change. My house has become something of a local landmark. I regularly see people driving by slowly to look at it, but now they're admiring it rather than plotting against it. I've even had a few architecture students ask to photograph it for their portfolios. Last month, I hosted a fundraiser at my house for a local housing charity. Many Pine Valley residents attended, including several who had initially opposed my construction. One former critic pulled me aside during the event. "I need to apologize," he said. "I was wrong about your house. Wrong about modern architecture, and wrong to stay silent when Barbara and Janet were harassing you. You've helped make our whole area better." The charity event raised over $50,000, which will help build affordable housing in our county. We're working with the charity to incorporate some modern design elements into their projects, proving that contemporary architecture doesn't have to mean expensive. Looking ahead, we're already planning our next development. We've optioned a 20-acre parcel nearby and are working on plans for another contemporary home community. This time, we're incorporating more sustainable design elements and green spaces. Barbara's old house finally sold at a significant discount because she hadn't maintained it well after losing her real estate license. The new owners are working with my builder on a major modern renovation. Sometimes the universe has a sense of humor. The best part? Our success has inspired other developers in the region to challenge outdated homeowners association restrictions. Several communities are now updating their guidelines to allow more architectural diversity. It's creating a ripple effect of positive change that all started because two homeowners association board members couldn't mind their own business. I still have the letter framed in my office. You know, the one where the homeowners association first tried to stop my construction. It serves as a reminder that standing up for what's right, even when faced with seemingly powerful opposition, can lead to positive change far beyond what you initially imagined. As for me, I'm enjoying life in my modern monstrosity. Barbara's words, not mine. Watching the sunset through my floor-to-ceiling windows that caused so much controversy. Sometimes I raise a glass to Barbara and Janet. After all, their attempts to stop progress only ended up accelerating it. The old saying about how the best revenge is living well. In this case, it's living well in exactly the kind of house they tried to prevent, while helping others do the same. That's not just revenge, that's justice. The next one is a malicious compliances story. Many years ago, in a previous life, I was an investigator in a robbery/homicide/vice section of the organization. I had a partner, Karen, whom I worked well with for the preceding year. I had been warned about her backstabbing behavior in other sections, but I foolishly ignored it. Leading up to the incident, she had been assigned 3 child exploitation cases that all she had to do was confirm the facts of the case, and she would have probable cause to obtain warrants. In spite of my reminders to perform the tasks, she waited until the 11th hour and then went on vacation without having completed the tasks, so I did it for her. She could now go to a judge without further action. When she returned, she was livid and accused me of stealing her work. I said if she had done that for me, I would have bought her lunch. From that point on, our professional relationship deteriorated, and I recalled the warnings I was given about Karen that mirrored my experience. A couple of months later, our idiot supervisor mistakenly assigned Karen and I the same case. I made contact with members of the task force and spoke with the officer who originated the case. Karen overheard my last conversation and blew her stack, saying words to the effect of, "You're stealing my work again! I was assigned that case! You're trying to make me look bad!" I calmly explained that the idiot supervisor assigned me the case and I showed her the paperwork. She would have none of that, though. I offered to buy her breakfast and talk it out, but she told me to F off and added, "You do not do anything on my case without my permission. Do you understand?" So, I relinquished the case. For the next month, Karen tried to throw me under the bus for anything and everything, going into the idiot supervisor's office and complaining about me. I'd get called into the idiot supervisor's office for a 16-minute coffee break or other such nonsense. Well, a triple homicide case came down the pipe and she wanted it bad, schmoozing the idiot supervisor to give her the case. Rather than ask me personally, she had the idiot supervisor approach me to do the forensics portion. I told him that I was told not to do anything on her case without her permission, and I didn't want to get in trouble or upset her, so I was going to need permission for everything in writing before I did it. I needed permission to pack the forensic kit. Exactly how many paper bags, plastic bags, etc. How many markers, how many swabs. I would need her written permission to enter the crime scene. How many entry photos, what distance. How would I collect each piece of evidence? How would I label them? I told the idiot supervisor to make sure she understood that because I was not to do anything on her case without her permission. He scurried off and then returned a short time later and told me that she didn't want the case and that it was mine. The next one is an entitled people's story. I never post on here, especially not on subreddits like this, but this happened to me yesterday and I need to get it out somewhere. I was driving home from the grocery store yesterday with my girlfriend and our roommate. We're not exactly mature, upstanding adults. We're all college students. I'm 22 and they're both 21. But we're all varying degrees of financially independent. We have jobs, we pay our own rent, I pay the loan on the car that's now destroyed, etc. I'm driving through a large but not super busy intersection and a car speeds out in front of me to take a left while I'm already inside the intersection. I slam the brakes but can't stop in time. The front of my car collides with the side of theirs. Knees slam into the front console, airbags go off, smoke everywhere. None of us have ever been in a crash this big before. We're immediately panicking, getting out of the car, making sure each other are okay. No major injuries, but we're all pretty bruised up. Girlfriend and roommate start working on getting our groceries out of the car and finding someone to come pick us up while I talk to the other driver and exchange information. The other driver is a 19-year-old girl, and she's sitting on the curb with a friend while her third friend gives me her license and takes photos of my license and insurance info. She tells me the driver's mom is coming to get the documents out of the car, which is not in nearly as bad of condition as mine, and they could easily get them themselves, and she'll give those to me when she gets there. I call cop, then spend most of the next 2 hours on the phone with my insurance company trying to get a tow truck. The city ends up towing both cars away since I can't move mine out of the road. When I try to turn it on so I can move it into a parking lot out of the way, it doesn't move when I press the gas and the engine starts smoking. The other girl doesn't try to move her car, which looks to me like it's still in driving condition, albeit not great condition. The cops show up to get our statements. I tell them exactly what happened. Don't make any grand statements about who is at fault because the situation speaks for itself. I do think I said that I had the right of way because I did. She goes to get the other girl's statement. First thing she says is, I had the right of way. The cop clarifies, so you had the green turn arrow? And she says yes. I jump in to correct her and say something to the effect of, the light was green, I don't know what she saw, but if she had the turn arrow, then the light on my side would have been red, so I don't understand how she could have had the arrow. Cop nods and writes that down, whatever. Continues to ask clarifying questions about whether she had the green arrow and asks if she was the only car turning, which she was. She says there were lots of cars turning in front of her. I didn't correct this one because I was just so shocked. I only fully processed that she'd said this after because it was such an obvious and blatant lie. Well, whatever. At some point while we're being questioned, her mom shows up. She listens to her daughter's story where she's claiming that she had the right of way and I blew through a red light and drove straight into her and believes it unquestioningly. The cop also asks if we want paramedics called. Me and my friends report all our injuries to her but tell her it's not an immediate emergency. The driver's friend insists that her friends are in shock and need medical attention. Although the friends deny it, paramedics and firefighters are called. Both when they show up ask me and my friends if we were in the other girl's car, probably since we're acting relatively normal and unhurt, and the other three are acting like this was a major catastrophe. My engine is shot and my airbags have gone off, their car is in nowhere near as bad of condition. Paramedics seemed annoyed to have to come check on these girls who turned out to be completely fine, but maybe that was just me extrapolating. We tell the paramedics about all our injuries, they tell us to go get those checked out and leave without looking at us at all. The mother is being pretty idiot, for lack of a better word, but I don't realize this until later because the accident is so clear-cut, and it's so obvious that her daughter is at fault that I don't realize she's trying to shift all the blame onto me, repeatedly saying when he hit her. And at one point she says, well, there are cameras, so we'll see what really happened. It didn't even occur to me until after that she was insinuating that I was a liar, because I just thought, yeah, the cameras will show that her daughter caused the accident, obviously. The cop tells us that they're live feed cameras, so they may not have actually picked up a recording, but I'm still feeling pretty confident about the details of the situation. At this point, the tow truck has shown up, and the situation's winding down, and my girlfriend reminds me that before we leave with the friend who's come to bring us home, I still need to get this girl's registration and insurance info. So I go up to the girl and her mother and ask to get that information. This other guy who showed up, I think he was an older brother of one of the girls, reminds me that I gave them my insurance but not my registration. So of course I'm like, oh yeah, let me get that for you. They take a photo of my registration. They now have all the information I could possibly give them. I ask the mother for her info. She asks me if I want to take a photo of her license plate. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's a good idea, and I do. Then I ask again to see her registration and insurance card. She refuses, says they'll be in the police report. I say I know they'll be in the report, but I'd like to get them now so I can file an insurance claim. And I don't say this because she's clearly already not my biggest fan. But I just gave her my information. I would expect if she wants all my documents, she should be willing to give hers in return. But she says no again, gets in her car, and closes the door on me. Fine, whatever. I ask the cop for her insurance info just in case, and she tells me she's not legally allowed to give me that and I'll have to wait for the report. Well, whatever. We went home. I filed an insurance report today. The car is totaled to no one's surprise. I've been in car accidents before, and I've even been in an accident where I had to file through insurance. And I understand that you're not supposed to admit fault even if you caused it, but this is the first accident I've ever been in where the other party straight up lied about what happened. I'd only had the car for a year and a half, and I still have $6,000 left to pay off on it. Just the more I think about it retrospectively, the more it pisses me off. All three of us who were in my car got injured. None of the girls in the other car did. My car is totaled. Theirs isn't. I was going straight. She was making a left. And her mother has the audacity to blame me for it and call me a liar when she wasn't even there to see what happened. Her daughter ducked up my car and my body and my finances, and she wants her to get off with no consequences. I just can't imagine my parents ever sticking up for me like that in a situation where I was so clearly at fault. I don't want to have to take them to court, but it seems like it's going to come to that. The way I had to stand there and handle everything on my own while her mother covered her ass and blamed me for the whole thing was so deeply infuriating. I don't understand why entitled parents feel like they can protect their children from all possible consequences. And I don't understand why you feel the need to villainize me when you're clearly in the wrong. I'll probably delete this because I hate to be a Reddit complainer, but I just needed to idiot about it in proper detail. And Twitter isn't a great place to do that. Genuinely duck this woman and duck her lying daughter. I'm talking to a lawyer and I'm getting my loan paid off and a nicer, newer car than I started with. I don't think I'm a perfectly moral person, but at least I'm not so entitled that I'll lie to a cop's face and think I'll get away with it. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll see you again tomorrow.